Welcome to this second video in our series of 5 videos that follow on from the trip to Old Warden. So the second tip was the relay runner rule. Now this is an interesting tip. To me it's one of my favorite ones. I just love the relay runner rule. In short, it just says that once you're handed a task, you run with it until you are finished. So imagine a relay at the Olympics. There are 4 runners, each one of them having to run 100 meters. So the first runner runs at maximum capacity, probably 120%, because they have the golden medal at stake. So they run as hard as they can. The other 3 runners, by the way, are standing still. That's worth noting. Then the second runner takes over the baton, and then that person runs at 120%. The other 2 are still waiting, and the first one is now free to rest. They have done their job. And as you know, the relay continues, and as a team they want to get the baton over the line as quickly as possible. So that's where it all derives from, the relay runner rule. And it's a magnificent tool if used at business and also managing your own time. Now, coming from a different angle, I remember a friend telling me about a solicitor that was very, very efficient. Everyone wanted to use that person because all the cases were sort of brought to an end very swiftly. And the trick behind that was that solicitor only worked on a handful of cases, but so focused 100% on crossing the line, and that is what made that person so successful. Another way of looking at it is something called a project Kanban. So if you're a fan of lean manufacturing, which I am as well, a Kanban is basically a piece of paper that informs you about replenishment, whereas a project Kanban means that you limit the amount of projects that you're working on at any one time. I'll add here that the relay runner rule comes from the theory of constraints. It is Eliyahu Goldratt who coined that term, and where I think the best example he gave was the US Army Helicopter Department serviced their helicopters at a place with a massive airfield, and at any given time there were 30 helicopters waiting to be serviced, and by the way they were being worked on, so it was all work in progress, 30 helicopters at any given time. The outcome was that it took ages, it was months if not years, to get your helicopter back, and something had to be done about it. It was just unacceptable. So Eliyahu Goldratt stepped in, he looked at it and said, well, clearly you've got an issue here, and the issue is that you're working on too many projects at once. You're spreading yourself too thin. The solution? He implemented something called a virtual constraint, which is the same as a project Kanban, and he limited the amount of helicopters that can be worked on to only 6. Now let's think about the ramifications of that. So first of all, the focus is on the 6 helicopters. Now imagine you're working on your helicopter and there's a part missing. You need to replace a part. If you were working on 30 helicopters, you just notified the supplier saying, look, I need this piece, but don't worry, I've got plenty of work to do, so whenever you deliver, that'll be fine. So you are inadvertently teaching them that you are a customer that is never serious, there's no urgency behind your orders, therefore you are right down the pecking list. So you, by mistake, without probably even realizing, you're teaching your suppliers that they don't have to treat you seriously. On the other hand, if you can't do anything else because that missing part is stopping you from proceeding, well, then you're on the case. You call one supplier, you call the other one, said, no, look, sorry, I can't wait for your part, I'm going to have to go with someone else. And suddenly you're teaching them that when you call, you're serious, there's urgency. and they better serve you, otherwise you're going to go somewhere else. Obviously, I don't mean ruin your relationships with your suppliers, but I mean teaching them that when it comes to priorities, you should be right at the top. So suddenly the lead times, the turnaround times for when the helicopter arrived there and then was able to fly back to base was dramatically reduced. And that is exactly the result of introducing the relay runner rule. So in your life, think about how you can adopt this principle so that once you've got a task open, don't spread yourself thin, don't jump onto 5 other things or 10 other things. Focus on what needs to be done and don't let go of that task until it is completed. So remember, the tip number 2 for regaining a healthy work-life balance is implementing the relay runner rule. Please watch the next video in this series to find out about tip number 3.